Now, normally I wouldn't talk about the guy who finished in seventh this early in the show, Aaron, but I feel like I've got to make an exception this time. Lando Norris, he got overtaken by Carlos at the start after starting on his first pole position in the sport. He eventually overtook him about 20 laps or so into the race. And from then he just powered on, even with Hamilton hounding him in a much faster car. He just looked comfortable. Hamilton couldn't get close to him. And it was just that one decision, that decision to stay out. You got to feel for the guy because it went from damp to monsoon conditions in a lap. And it was just impossible for him.
Yeah, it was such a mature drive. And if you just start with the first lap, it would have been quite easy for him to panic on the brakes into turn one or into turn two, even knowing that Carlos had a run on him. And he could have got a bit hot and bothered on the brakes and skittled the pair of them out of the race. But he drove sensibly, he drove maturely, took back the lead after he dropped to about 2 seconds back at one point, and then closed down the gap because he kept his tyres in better condition and he knew the Ferrari would grain up the fronts, pounced when he needed to, and just drove so maturely. It was like he'd led 20 races before and won 10. But it's such a cruel thing, sport. And the rain came at the most inopportune time. And he made a bad call, but that is Formula One. How many times do we see? You think back to 1995 at Spa, Schumacher stuck it out on dries while everyone else was on the wets. It's hero and zero stuff. If you get it right, you are bang in charge of your own destiny. But if you get it wrong, you can slide down the order very, very quickly. But we should not let that one decision overshadow Lando's performance this weekend. He's taken a maiden pole position with a good call to get onto the slicks at the right time, maximize that car's potential. Then he drove a really mature race, kept it all pretty much pointing the right direction until the point where you simply couldn't drive any longer on slicks. And that can happen to anyone. It can just be a flash shower that catches you out at one corner, and that can happen to even the best. So Lando has been on another planet this season in terms of his performances. Hopefully he doesn't get too disheartened with this. I'm sure he won't. I don't know if you saw the interview with Sky Sports he did pretty much right after the race. It looked like he shed a few tears already. So he may even be shedding a few more later on, but he'll come back stronger. And all the greats go through something like this. You think like George Russell has gone through something like this. Charles Leclerc with Bahrain 2019 has gone through something like this. They all go through something like this and they all come out the other side. So I have every confidence in Lando that he'll bounce back. Whether or not he'll win a race this season now is slightly up for debate. But if he keeps performing the way he has been and he's there for when Max and Lewis inevitably tangle again, then he could be on hand to pick up the pieces.